everyone, how are you today guys? I hope you are still in a good condition due to our current situation right now with this pandemic of coronavirus. Stay healthy, stay safe wherever and whenever you are. Okay, in this video, I will talk about various methods of international payment in international trade, and I will give you the video animation to help you more understand of each method that I will explain. So let's check this out.
Methods of receiving export payments. Our young entrepreneur, Nico, has got an export order. The prices and Incoterms have been negotiated. Nico has some doubts bothering her about the various methods of receiving payment. Does she receive payment before shipment or after? Can she be sure of payment after shipments? To answer her questions, we first explain what the various methods of international trade.
First, cash in advance. Cash in advance is a payment method in international trade in which an order is not processed until full payment is received by the supplier in advance. Sometimes, cash in advance is called cash with order. Under the cash in advance, the funds received by the exporter before the goods transferred to the importer. Cash in advance poses highest risk to the importer and vice versa, lowest risk to the exporter.
First, cash in advance. Here, buyer makes the payment before the seller ships the goods. That's riskier for the buyer. Such terms are over usually when the seller has a proven track record or the buyer knows and trusts the seller.
Second, open account. Open account means that buyers pay the cost after the goods have been shipped by the supplier. In an international trade transaction, open account defines as a sale where the goods are shipped and or delivered before payment is due, which is usually in 30 or 60 days. Open account poses highest risk to the exporter and vice versa, lowest risk to the importer.
2. Open account. This is the opposite of cash in advance. Here, the seller ships the goods and then sends the document such as invoice and bill of lading directly to the buyer. Before the payment is made, buyer agrees to pay the seller in the future date, as mentioned in the seller's contract. Usually, it will be 30 to 90 days after receiving goods. However, foreign buyers may press for open account terms, since the extension of credit by the seller to the buyer is common. An export credit insurance may lessen the risk of non-payment to Nico.
Third, consignment. Consignment is delivery of goods to the intermediary or importer who will sell the goods to the final buyer. Ownership of the goods remains owned by the exporter until the goods are sold. Consignment poses highest risk to the exporter and vice versa, lowest risk to the importer.
Third, consignment. Consignment is a variation of open account in which payment is made after the goods have been sold by the foreign distributor buyer to the end customer. This helps reduce the direct cost of storage and managing inventory for the distributor buyer. For the seller, however, the risk of non-payment in payment is even greater. This risk will be lesser if the distributor is repeated with a proven track record. Nico may lessen the risk of non-payment using export credit insurance that covers for the goods in transit.
Fourth, documentary collections. Documentary collections is an international trade procedure in which a bank in the importer's country acts on behalf of an exporter for collecting and remitting payment for a shipment. The exporter presents the shipping and collections documents to their bank, which sends to them its correspondent bank in the importer's country. The foreign bank, called the presenting bank, hands over shipping and the title document required for taking delivery of the shipment to the importer in exchange for first, cash payment in case of documents against payment, or second, a firm commitment to pay on a fixed date in case of documents against acceptance.
Fourth, documentary collections. Here, the seller entrusts the payment collection to his bank. Niku's bank will send documents and collection instructions to the buyer's bank. This collection instructions specify when the ownership of the goods changes and when the buyer's money should be limited. The buyer's bank will carry out the instruction upon receiving payment from buyer and remit it to Niku's bank. There are two types of documentary collections. First, documents against payment. Buyer is required to pay as soon as the ownership documents are presented to the buyer's bank. Second, documents against acceptance. Buyer is required to accept a timed draft as soon as the ownership documents are presented to the buyer's bank. Payment should be made at the maturity of the accepted time. The timed draft is usually for 30 to 90 days. Banks charge a fee for such transactions. Documentary collection doesn't offer a verification process, and there is limited resource in case of payment default. On the other hand, they are usually cheaper than instruments like letters of credit.
Last, document credits or letter of credits. Documentary credits, also known as letter of credit, are one of the payment methods in international trade. Letter of credit defined as any arrangement, however named or described, that is irrevocable and thereby constitute a definite undertaking of the issuing to honor of complying presentation.
Last, letter of credit. An LC payment involves the buyer banks and Niku's bank. Under LC, a commitment is given by the buyer's bank that payment will be made to Niku, provided that the terms and conditions stated in the LC have been met. Niku then ships the goods and submits the documents such as invoice, bill of lading, and etc. to her bank as proof of shipment. Once documents are submitted, payment is released. The LC protects the seller against non-payment, as the banks make the payment without discretion of the buyers, and LC also protects the buyer, since no payment obligation arises until the goods have been shipped by seller as promised. So it's balanced the risk for both sides and it's more secure, true, not risk-free. Banks charge a fee for LCs, which usually more than in other methods.
Okay, that's 5 various methods in international payment. I hope you guys understand and see you in the next video.